Hey, what's up guys, TotallyDubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review on the Acer XR341CK. This is a massive 34-inch curved display that has a resolution of 3440x1440. It's running an IPS LED display. It has 4 milliseconds response time, at least quoted, and it also has a quoted refresh rate of 75 Hz. In my findings, I didn't find it 75 Hz, and I'll get into that in just a second because that's extremely important to me. Now, in terms of its other specs, it's got speakers, which I included. In terms of output, it's got DisplayPort output, one DisplayPort output. It's got inputs of 1 times a DisplayPort 1.2. It's got 2 HDMI 2.0 ports with MHL compatibility on one of them. It's got also a 3.5mm jack for your headphones, and it's also got a small USB hub type thing at the back, which is USB 3.0, which you connect up to your PC, and you get 4 USB 3.0 ports at the back of your monitor, which arguably are very hard to access. For its full specs, I'll link them down in the description, so make sure you check them out in case you're interested. Also in the description you'll find the price, and yes, it's a whopping £750 on Amazon.co.uk and a massive $1,040 on Amazon USA. So you're going to have big bucks spending for this monitor. So let's get into the build quality of the monitor first. Now, the build quality of the monitor is very impressive. Its stand is very solid. It allows you to bring up and down the monitor and tilt it. Doesn't allow you to pivot it, which is quite obvious in terms of why, because of its size. Its bezels are very thin, which is fantastic in terms of its viewing experience, so you're not too distracted by them. And the build quality at the bottom is a brushed aluminium look, which looks really fantastic to me, and considering it's a little bit off grey, it gives it an extra touch of kind of class. Also at the back you will have a Kensington lock, which is quite useful in terms of if you want to secure your monitor and make sure it's not stolen. This is really useful for people in the workplace rather than people at home. Or who knows, people could steal stuff at your home anyway. Other than that, I would like to mention its on-screen display buttons. The on-screen display buttons are found at the bottom right of the monitor, and to me were absolute a real pain to use. Now, they're very easy to use, but in order to actually use them, you have to kind of like leverage your hand underneath, and you've got no sort of indication of what's going on over here. It's more the fact that you kind of have to guess or kind of know what your monitor is doing, and you can see over here what you can do. But through the on-screen display, you'll have a plethora, I love that word, of options, including gamma, color temperature, and even you can change the HDMI type and the display type, DisplayPort type. And what's quite interesting over here, it's something I want to mention in terms of the build quality, is the fact that you've got ambient light. So yes, this has the option of having ambient light. So I've got it on right now. If I just go, well actually you'll be able to see it there, you can see right here underneath the monitor, there's a little ambient light, which is really nice to have. You can customize the ambient light to do what you want, so that's really cool. So I have a different sort of style and a different sort of color. You got all variety of different colors on there. So very impressive to have that. In terms of its overall build quality, it does add to it. However, one thing that is really apparent and was a fundamental problem of this monitor is its brightness control. Now, the brightness control might not seem like a big deal to you, which it shouldn't be really, apart from that it's bright enough for you. That's great, it is bright. But once you get into low territories, as in under 50, you won't be able to hear it, but the monitor has a slight buzz, and by slight buzz I mean it goes type sound. Now that's exaggerated in terms of how loud I did it, but if you're in a sort of quiet environment, you will definitely be able to hear that, and that for me is almost a deal breaker because I like silent gaming, or at least not being distracted by any other sounds. And unfortunately, that was really distracting to me because I was like, what is this mini type of fan sound? And why is it happening when it's brightness coming low? Anyway, that's a problem with the monitor. I have no idea why, but that is one of the cases. Now, the other problem I noticed is its refresh rate. Now, I'm reviewing this monitor as a 60 Hz refresh rate, and you might be like, why are you doing that? What's the point? Anyway, you'll know why, because I'm going to link down in the description UFO screen frame skipping. Now, this is a tool that you use for overclocking, and pretty much you'll only need it for overclocking. Apart from the fact that when you switch on your monitor and you're an experienced reviewer when it comes to monitors, and you suddenly realize something doesn't quite seem right, you start playing with a refresh rate and realize it can't display 75 Hz. So I've got it at 60 Hz right now, but I'm going to move it down to 75 Hz. and hopefully through the camera you'll be able to see how it skips frames. Now basically in between the little black boxes over here, you're going to see frames kind of jumping around, and that shouldn't be happening, and that basically tells me that the monitor can't really display 75 Hz. It says valid here, but in order to do that, do the test, you have to take a camera, put it on low ISO, take a picture, and see how it looks like. Long story short, it can't do it, and it's really, really surprising to see a monitor out the box not being able to do this. And it's quoted 75 Hz in the specs. Now, as you can see here is a picture of 60 Hz. I moved to 75 Hz, and you can see a skipped frame right there. It's a little black box between the two white ones. And at 85 Hz, which is even higher, or even 70 Hz, I had the same problem. This is fundamental to me because that is actually false advertising and false marketing. Acer, and I will tell them after this review, they have to change that ASAP. If not, a Class A lawsuit can be taken against Acer for false advertising a 75 Hz monitor, literally all over on the internet, where no stupid other reviewer has actually picked it up, that it doesn't do 75 Hz. Now, this could be the fact that it's an AMD FreeSync enabled monitor. Therefore, in order to have 75 Hz, you need to have AMD. But it's not specified on the website in any way. It's specified as a 75 Hz monitor. So it is going to be reviewed as a 60 Hz monitor. Now, on my little rant aside, let's go into its color accuracy. Now, the color accuracy, because of an IPS display, is fantastic. I was really impressed of the color accuracy. The colors really pop out. They come out very well. There's no sort of fake colors or oversaturated colors. But one thing I did notice is that when you've got a colorful screen, for example this on the sides, I noticed that the colors were a little bit more washed out, and that is because there was a bit of a backlight bleed on the monitor. And a backlight bleed meaning there's white colors shining through on the sides of the monitor, and therefore giving you a poor experience. It's a shame to see this, but on bigger monitors or bigger screens just generally, you will often find backlight bleed. It is not a big deal for some, but for me, who is kind of like a OCD when it comes to monitors, that is a big deal for me, because as a curved monitor I want it to be perfectly uniform throughout the screen. I'm sure you can't get that always, but in my case I noticed it. So anyway, that's one thing I should also mention, but other than that, the colors are fantastic. And obviously the viewing angles, because of IPS display, is fantastic. You move literally 180 degrees and 180, I don't know, whatever, how many degrees you want on the side, and it will be perfect in terms of its colors. They won't shift in any way. Up, down, left to right, it's fantastic. Now finally, I want to mention its gaming performance. I'm going to launch up some CSGO, which is a game that I play pretty much every day, and I was very much impressed with the overall feel of the game. Now, unfortunately, this game has just finished, which is against bots, which is not really great, but what I'll do is talk about it. So its overall feeling of the game was very good. It was very responsive, and I didn't notice any problems. So in terms of how well it responded, it was very, very impressive. Other than that, I must say that in terms of its input lag, I didn't notice any noticeable input lag. There probably is input lag on any monitor anyway, but other than that, I was very much impressed. I should also mention that on the on-screen display, you can set it to a different little mode, which I just go into settings and I go into low latency mode, and I have it enabled by default there, but you can disable it. Now what you might be wondering is, what does that do? Well, it does decrease the latency, which makes the monitor a little bit more responsive for gaming, but unfortunately it does increase the ghosting of the screen, and therefore when you have fast moving objects, you will notice a little ghosting of the screen in comparison to when you have it off. So that is one of the problems with it, but that is a problem throughout every single monitor I've ever reviewed, that whenever it has that option, it increases ghosting. So that's a problem with it. So anyway guys, in a nutshell, it's a fantastic monitor, and I'll end it off with a bit of Star Wars, and that is with some music. And the reason I'm saying that is because its actual speakers are fantastic, and I was really, really impressed with it. So I'm just going to let it play. So obviously it's not going to compete with a full-blown speaker or any like a mini Bluetooth speaker or so, but it is very impressive considering it's a monitor. I found its bass tones to be very well presented. Its mids are of course recessed and the highs are rolled off, but in terms of its overall sound stage and its sound quality, I was very impressed. And I must say, thumbs up to Acer for producing a great sounding monitor. So overall, guys, I think it's a decent monitor. It's not fantastic because of its color uniformity problems, its refresh rate problems, and its really annoying OSD's controls. But other than that, guys, it's a good monitor, but it's very, very expensive. So if you've got money to blow, then this could be a good monitor for you to use, but I'm sure you can find other alternatives at its price. Anyway, guys, I've been TotallyDubb. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, as it always helps, and definitely favorite and share it with your family and friends. Alright, guys, take care. Bye-bye.